Oh, hey folks, happy Memorial Day. We are taking today off too. A new episode will drop next week, but we wanted to give you a little preview. We are going to start a new segment on the podcast, and we're going to be reading reviews, some online reviews of, people associated with the podcast, but also just some regular, just general reviews, and hoping that you can have a laugh. But we're going to start with Paul D. He wrote a review for where I used to work, and he just wrote, terrible service, good comics. But he gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I just want to say to Paul D, that's the kind of review that you should give. But I have given, page-long reviews of shitty experiences that I have had because I did have more time on my hands at the time that I was giving those reviews. And I was also wildly depressed. So it was very easy to go after people who were doing their job. Now, that said, this is going to transition me into, there was one time I was at what was the new, I believe it was like the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Vegas. I cannot remember. The newest like huge high-rise hotel there. And they had, I believe it was going to be either Moby or some headliner was DJing, and it was a pool party. And I was there for a bachelorette party for my friend Rita. What up, Rita? And it was, going to be really fun. We were excited, but little did I know, and I should have known better, that 3 nights in Vegas, 4 days is double what you should be there for. 1 night at most 2. And if you're going to stay there 2 nights, you leave the immediate next morning, because much more beyond that. And no one's having a good time, yourself included. You're just not having fun. So I had an experience at the Cosmopolitan Hotel there, and it was awful. And I just remember feeling like so helpless and feeling like it was such a massive corporate entity that you couldn't break through to anybody's compassion. And I've seen that in customer service a lot, that when you're dealing with an employee that's sort of hardened to the process, especially people that work in like bars and nightlife, you just become a casualty of them getting shit on or all the drama that they've had to deal with prior to you. And so not being able to find anybody to go to talk to you about this experience, that was really terrifying. And I ended up not going to the concert because I just was so scared, because when you don't feel like you have anyone you can go to that is rational or normal or that has your back from a security point, especially as a female, you need to leave the situation because it's not actually safe for you. And if they have a security guard who is clearly either coked or methed out of his mind, that they're having to hold back from hitting a female in the face who stands in the wrong line that their coworker just told her to go to, the problem is much bigger than the incident that I'm about to read. But at the time, I didn't have that perspective, and I just left and let it go. Because we can't, especially as a woman, can't fight them all. Can't fight all the battles, can't whatever. But I bring this up to say the reason that I'm about to read this online review is so that you know that I also am a consumer. So I get it. And I also have expectations. And I think reasonable expectations, as we have shared on prior episodes, reasonable expectations are okay. It's normal to have them. It's just when they dip into unreasonable that it gets kind of crazy. But okay, so here's my review. And I left 1 star. And this is what I wrote. I am a generally positive person that sees the glass half full. When coming to this new venue for a close friend's bachelorette party, I was thrilled by the decor and the setup of the rooms. That is the reason that it's 1 star. Otherwise, I would have given it 0. The check-in was a nightmare. They were disorganized, rude, would not add anyone else's name to the reservation of 7 girls, which we had disclosed to them upon booking the room, without begging at the front. The parking is confusing and not easily accessible. The casino is cold and doing its best to mirror a spa with horribly snobby attendants. This is a casino. We're here to play games. The cheapest table was $25, but that's fine since this is the image they're going with. So please stop acting like you're doing us a favor. Then came the situation that I have discussed with a lawyer, about which I am still unsure of what to do. We had purchased tickets for a Fatboy Slim concert. Okay, it was Fatboy Slim on their roof during the Labor Day weekend celebration. The lines, as you can imagine, were insane and everyone was trying to get in. We had tickets, so we tried to find the difference between the tickets and no tickets line. When I attempted to ask the bouncer, whose name escapes me, but he had a tattoo on his arm with the anniversary and looks almost identical to Steve-O, where we needed to stand, he literally turned his back to me and would not answer my question. I thought he didn't hear me, so I said, "Excuse me, can you please tell me?" And before I could finish, he put his finger inches from my nose and said, "I'm busy and we'll deal with you later." Then walked away. We thought, fine, we'll just wait here. After a while, we got in our correct line and waited. It was divided into 2 sections to keep a pathway clear for other guests, which makes total sense. Again, I'm a reasonable human. When we walked, as instructed by another equally angry bouncer, to another part of the line, the Steve-O lookalike waited for us to get to the other side and then yelled, "You dumb bitches need to get in the right line. The end of the line is right back here." I replied, "The other bouncer just told us to go here. We have tickets. Why are you talking to us like this?" He then ran to me and got inches from my face. He screamed he was going to kick me out, raised his hand like he was going to strike me, and told me to get back in the fucking line. I was terrified and everyone in line was just staring, confused. I responded with, "You're being incredibly aggressive, and if you're kicking me out, you need to decide, but your tone of aggression is unnecessary." I think that's a lie. I think I just froze. I do not remember saying that. I think I just put that in the review to make me sound tough. Seeing as how I was right and he had created a scene, he huffed and puffed and walked away. Others in line said, "Oh, he just did that to me too. I was just trying to sell my ticket." There were always females saying this. It was a disgusting experience and was, by the definition of the word, assault. I'm a little dramatic. I will never return here. When I attempted to report this while I was there, I was ignored and told that a separate company hires out these people and they can't speak to it. I paid to stay at the hotel for 3 nights. Why would you not at least direct me to a person with whom I could file this report? Throughout the weekend, I heard, "We're only 7 months old," from a lot of employees. That's completely understandable. Okay, see, again, details, Kate. So I don't remember. They weren't a week old. They were 7 months old. They were still painting, which is weird. That's completely understandable that there would be hiccups and mistakes, but that much aggression from one employee, I was shaking and had to return to my room. Then to have one not wanting to help me at least report it, I'm not good at confrontation, so I let it go. But for any and all people that are nice and want to experience Vegas in the fun, lighthearted way most trips are intended to be, do not stay at this hotel. You are not safe. It is very expensive, and the staff is rude beyond anything I have ever experienced. I was simply left without words. From the valet to the maintenance people, no one appears to be happy working here. You can get a high-class, well-respected experience, and I speak from having had them, at the Wynn and Mandalay Bay. Do not give them your money or your sense of security. Disgusting. Well, I'm a good writer, and that wasn't kind, but I meant it. So that happened, and that was my review, and I meant it. And yeah, I just wanted you to read that I can be a little knife turny too. But at this time, I had a whole lot more time. I, thought I was invincible, and this guy scared me. Although I think about that experience now and I think of how differently I would have handled it. But it is interesting to read back this review and realize, part of my frustration was that nobody thought that was abnormal. And so I just wanted to read this to also point out that as much as I defend, the employees on this podcast, and as much time as we spend saying, customers are rude, customers are terrible. And I now sort of have more bandwidth to understand this now, having worked in nightlife. Sometimes, as I've said on the podcast before, table B is taking the heat from whatever happened at table A. So some of this, I have a different lens through which I can see this because of having worked in nightlife. But also, coke and meth seem to be just readily available for people that work in nightlife. And P.S., this was during the day. It was a daytime party, so slow your roll. But I do want to point out that there is still a certain standard by which I hold other people to that includes not being abusive. It's sort of really basic. So don't write the long-winded review that I did. But although I had receipts, you feel me? Like I could back it all up. But Paul D's review, terrible service, good comics, is about as far as you should go on any of these online platforms anymore, because beyond that, people probably aren't reading it. The business owners probably don't care. And it used to be that people were getting fired off of stuff like this, but that's not really the case anymore. Thank goodness. But I just, there's always another side to the story, and I'm sure meth head Steve-O had some sort of excuse for why he got in my face and went to strike me. But it is a little jarring as a human being to have someone respond in such an aggressive way from Jump Street. I understand if I had come at him hot, maybe, but never getting to the point of physical violence. But yeah, so that's an online review that yours truly has written and meant. And see, even my memory from 10 years ago doesn't serve exactly what was true about what happened. because when I wrote that review, it was very fresh. And I was a little sensitive little baby person. I was just so affected. Now I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have just laughed in his meth-headed face and hoped he hit me so I could sue the shit out of them. But I have a different perspective now. Anyway, so that is something. I wanted to read it because I just want you all to know that I'm also a consumer. What is that commercial? It's like, not only am I the president, I'm also a client. It's a really old ass commercial. I can't remember. Whatever. This is a great example. But I'm just giving you a little preview of things to come with the podcast. So happy Memorial Day. Hang out with your fam. Enjoy those apps and your entrees and your desserts. Welcome to life getting a little bit more normal. Thank you all so much for listening. Appreciate y'all. That's going to be it.